With iOS 10, Apple is basically trying to polish a pearl. We get a snazzy and flat new aesthetic with iOS 8, and iOS 9 refined that overall experience. Now we're basically seeing Apple refine once again. It may look like the same software you've been using for 2 years, but it's actually much more convenient than before, and that makes it a joy to use. The changes start at the lock screen, which now automatically appears when you pick up your phone. You can interact with notifications using 3D touch-equipped phones like the iPhone 6s and 7. For example, you could quickly reply to text right from the lock screen, after unlocking your phone of course. Swiping left from the lock screen brings you to the Today screen, which is a feed of widgets that you can easily customize. Notifications and widgets are now encapsulated in bubbles, which makes them easier to see. Swiping right from the lock screen now brings up the camera almost instantly. And when you swipe up anywhere in the OS, you get to the revamped Control Center, which now spans 2 pages. The first section lets you tweak common settings like airplane mode, Wi-Fi, and your brightness. The bottom row is made up of the quick tools you've come to expect, like the flashlight and calculator. The second screen is devoted entirely to what you're currently listening to. You can play, pause, fast forward, and rewind tracks easily. Even better, you can now change your position in a track without launching a separate media player, which is useful for longer things like podcasts and audiobooks. Once you've logged into iOS 10, you probably won't notice much of a difference from before. The default font is a bit thicker, but otherwise it's the same wall of icons you're used to. This time around, Apple focused on refining its core apps. The Messages app received the biggest overhaul. You can search for gifts, send drawings to your friends, and even send tracks you've been listening to from Apple Music. You can also make iMessages more intense or send not-so-secret messages with invisible ink. I particularly like the full screen effects, which are a great way to annoy your friends. There's also a mini app store where you can grab sticker packs, games, and apps that all work within the Messages app. You could search for restaurants with friends using Yelp or OpenTable, or play a quick game of chess. It's pretty clear Apple wants you to avoid leaving messages whenever possible. As for other changes, iOS 10's Photos app is a lot smarter now. You can search for specific keywords and it'll use computer vision technology to try and find relevant pictures. Apple's Music app has also gotten a much needed revamp with larger fonts and a bigger focus on bold colors and cover art. It also highlights your own library by default instead of what's on Apple's streaming music service. The For You section has been updated with a clearer focus on albums and playlists you might actually like. Elsewhere in the OS, you can finally remove Apple's built-in applications, though you're not really uninstalling them for real. It'll also transcribe your voicemails, which is accurate enough that you don't actually have to listen to your messages. 3D Touch is also everywhere now, and you can expect to see even more apps take advantage of it in the future. Similarly, Siri is invading more areas of iOS now, with support for third-party apps, more natural requests, and intelligent suggestions all over the place. Hey Siri, get me an Uber car. Uber X. Siri is contextually aware now, so you'll get suggestions when using the keyboard or when trying to tag a location in Maps. While iPads received some major multitasking upgrades last year, there aren't any huge additions this time. Ultimately, iOS 10 is a collection of very useful changes to an already solid OS. While you could legitimately complain that it doesn't look very different than before, what matters is that using it is significantly better. We'll likely see a major iOS facelift next year, but for now, iOS 10 is a no-brainer upgrade.